he's got another girl's number on here. She said, I told you he was just a crook. She said, look at that. She said, well, he's been, and she said, look, she's in the Dolphins Hotel, just where we were. I said, what?
I think this was Miss Connecticut, because the tracks that I had, I'm trying to remember the tracks that I had, I think she gave them to me.
You said, I've been trying to call you. Did your mother tell you? I said, well, yeah. I said, I just didn't feel like I wanted to talk with you.
And she did put her name and her hotel number, which I never called, because she was kind of, a little too far. But in any case, but yeah, I can remember calling, and I could not figure out why you would not receive my calls. So I can't remember, but let me pre-adventure that when I did talk to you and you told me that, I probably was a little upset because I'm trying to call. I'm trying to get through to you.
You were very offended.
Yeah, right.
That you would call that many times, and I wouldn't even take the courtesy to answer the phone, because you said, well, why didn't you just pick the phone up and answer me? He said, you could have just told me this. So when you explained it, and you said, I hadn't committed myself to you. He said, first of all, you said, I hadn't committed myself to you or anybody. You said, and you could have at least let me explain. He said, I don't even know who you're talking about. He said, man, you told me many people write their names. So you had said that to me. So I listened, but you know what? I felt calm. I didn't feel upset with you for your response. So I remember going back and telling Diane. So I said, Diane, you know what? I said, that track that he had, I said, that was just somebody that gave him that. I said, he never even called this person and like that. I said, really? He told me he had really committed himself, and he really didn't have to say that, but he did. She said, Pat, you took that from him. Oh, girl, you gone. You like, I said, no, I do not like him. She said, I can't believe you let him say that. I said, Diane, you know what? I said, I can't believe I did either. I said, but when he said it, it made such sense. You better start sticking up with him. Don't be she was just badgering me. Stop weakening. I said, I am not weakening down to him. But then when I left there, I said, boy, I sure did let him say that. But when you said it, it sounded like it made so much sense. So from there, you started calling, and we would converse on the phone, and then on the weekends, was it like every other weekend?
Yeah, but I have just one more segment that was really important. This one was, because I can remember after that phone call, I made up my mind that I better go down there. Okay, and because I had never came down to see you yet.
That's
okay,
correct.
So I made up my mind that I said, I better go down and see this girl, because I was still taken with you, but I couldn't understand what actually happened. I mean, I know what happened literally, but I didn't understand why all this was falling apart so quickly after all the experience that I had, that I really believed that this was the one. So Gary, Indiana was from Lansing, Michigan. It's a 3-hour drive. And an hour and a half, midway on the drive, is Kalamazoo, Michigan, where my brother lived. I had a brother that lived in Kalamazoo, and it's halfway between Lansing and Gary. And so I made up my mind that weekend to go down. So I'm driving down, and I get violently ill. I mean, I don't think I have ever been that ill, and cannot explain what it was. My head was hurting. I was seriously dizzy. I didn't know what hit me. So I had made up my mind. I said, well, you know what? I said, well, maybe this ain't God. Okay, because I'm driving down here and I'm so ill. So I said, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it to Kalamazoo, spend the night at my brother's, then drive home. I was just going to be done with it, because evidently being this ill, I did not know it was an attack from the enemy. I wasn't a mature enough saint at that time to know the difference between when God is saying no and when the devil's really trying to deflect. So I can remember I got close to the very exit to go to Kalamazoo to go to my brother's house. And when I got to it, I said, no. I said, I'm going to go down and see what's really going on, no matter how I feel. And I was dizzy and everything else, okay? So the moment I drove, this is the God truth again, the moment I drove past that exit, it left me. It was just gone. And I felt okay.
That's when you know Providence is really having a hand in this, because just as quick as I was done with you, when I left Dallas, I never intended to see or speak to you again. But the moment I talked with you, it's like everything was clear and back in order just that quick.
Wow.
So just like you said, when you felt so very ill, you passed that one station, and all of a sudden it left.
It's almost like when God is introducing you to someone that he has for you, right, he can give you confirmations this is the one, but you need to pass Satan's test.
Wow.
Providence will allow you to be tried by the enemy to show you this is really God. It's the same thing in Scripture. After John the Baptist baptized Jesus, the Bible said he was led of the Spirit, we can say the hand of providence, he was led of the Spirit into the wilderness, what? To be tempted of the devil. That was a temptation. It was all set up convenient. Halfway there, my brother's house was right off the exit.
Wow.
It's about 4 blocks from the exit. And I knew it. I came up to that. I said, no, I'm going to go past this. The moment I passed that, I mean, I pass it, drive another 100 yards, boom, it was gone.
Wow.
It was gone. So God gives the confirmation of this is me. Then he allows the enemy to test, to show you. You cannot know God's will just by God giving you good confirmations. You also have to know God's will by the fight that God takes you through to be in his will. Why? Because all things, good and bad,
work together
for good. We both had our own situation. Isn't that interesting?
Amen. Okay, so you left on your way to Gary, Indiana.
Right.
And when you get there, I'm not there.
Right. You're at work.
I'm at work.
And your mother's there.
And my mom is there.
Right.
And that was all so providential. The fact that you had time to spend time with my mother when I was not there. So you and my mother had a very good conversation. You all had things. She was a teacher, Sunday school teacher. You were a Sunday school teacher.
Right. Of about the same age groups.
That's correct.
Right,
it was very, very providential because what you didn't know is that my mother had such an influence in my life. No matter how much I liked you or even if I was interested in you, if my mother would have said, no, Pat, I don't think this guy is the one, that would have been the end. She had that much of a pull in my life. I listened to my mother.
Wow.
So it would have changed the whole trajectory.
Well, yeah, but let's look at this as a lesson. Then the lesson in this is the fact that you have, and let me just put it in these terms, you have a negative influence called Diane Gates about me. Okay, I'm just not saying she's negative as a person, but I'm saying you got a negative influence. Then when I meet your mother, and God allows me to step into your mother's heart and win her over, now you have a positive influence. So you got 2 influences talking to you. That's a good lesson because many times that's our lives. We have a positive entry. Then we have whose report will you receive? You got 2 spies saying we can do it. We got 10 saying you can't. Go right ahead.
Right. Well, just a plug to Diane. It's not that Diane had anything personally against you. It's just that Diane had a great concern that God would send me somebody before her.
I see.
I think if someone would have come for her first, because she's like, you're not even looking for a mate. This ain't fair. God, you know my heart from the age of 18. I've been talking about this.
And her life quest is to get married.
So she's very offended.
Yeah.
So you just happen to be the person to take the offense too. But we get
good.
there, and you and my mom have such a long conversation, and you get to talk.
I'm reading the map to find a house. I'm not familiar with Gary that much, of course, and I'm reading the map to find a house. I remember pulling up to the house. I remember knocking on the door, and your mother comes to the door, and I just simply say my name is Philip, and so on and so forth. And I come, and she said, "Oh, she's not here." She invites me in, and we sat down and just start talking. She did not bring me into the front room where the sofa is. Okay, you walk, but she literally sat down and we just started talking. She could have just said, "Okay, Pat will be here in a little while. Just sit here and wait for her." That's not what she did. We sat down and we just began to converse. But it was an instant connection. I mean, it was one of those connections that we just both had a lot in common, and we just like one another right away. Go ahead.
Okay, so by the time I get home from work and I come in and I'm surprised you're there and you're and my mom's smiling and you're all just having.
Wait a minute, can I ask you one question just before you? Now, did I tell you I was coming or did I just surprise you?
Next time on The Hand of Providence. Yes.
Okay. And of course, he so greatly approved of you, but this was an adventure. I mean, there's probably nothing more important in life besides receiving Jesus and the Holy Ghost than meeting the one, not just somebody that you fall in love with, but to meet somebody that you fall in love with, that you're assured that this is the one God sends you.